One of the most amazing things about watercolor is how we can paint the same subject in so many different ways just by changing our technique. In today's video, we're painting a beautiful collection of heart designs to help you explore different ways of applying watercolor, understand how different pigments behave, and practice various effects you can create with your brush strokes. We will start with simple beginner-friendly wet into wet washes and gradually build up to more advanced techniques. You will learn glazing for glowing gemstone effect, wet on damp technique for soft, dreamy blends, negative painting, one of the most important watercolor skills, using masking fluid, white pigment, and metallic watercolors for extra special shimmering details. And of course, I've included some extra fancy decorative designs that you can paint using any of your favorite mediums like gouache or acrylics. I've put together this collection based on my experience working on commercial illustrations, including collectible silver dollar coins that I designed for the Royal Canadian Mint. So I've spent a lot of time thinking up creative heart designs, and a huge thank you to my Patreon community for helping me choose one of the featured hearts with a blue rose. As always, if you're following me on Patreon, you will find a real-time recording of this tutorial, along with a black and white outline to make it easier for you to follow along. Let's start with the most beginner-friendly classic watercolor wet-on-wet technique, and it's going to give us the most beautiful soft blends with only one layer of color. Typically with wet-on-wet application, we start by covering everything with clear water, but I prefer using very diluted color so I can see the boundaries of my working area. And you can leave a small spot on the right-hand side to indicate a highlight. Then we can follow with some beautiful saturated red, and I'm using one of my go-to favorite reds called Quinacridone Red from Core Watercolors, but you can use any of your favorite red pigments and drop this color with the tip of your paintbrush into the wet surface, gradually building more saturation, meaning using less water and more color. You can even add some violet to accentuate the shadows, and if it spreads too far, you can grab your flat brush, make sure it's clean, tap it on tissue paper to remove any excess water, and just gently lift the color off your page. You can do it several times to achieve the kind of look you need. And you can continue dropping even more saturated pigment for as long as your paper is wet, and then leave it to dry so we can explore the next technique. Here, I wanted to show you wet on dry glazing technique to create something completely unique. And I picked a different heart shape that resembles a gemstone. And we have these distinct sections that reflect light from different angles. We're going to apply several layers of paint, making sure everything dries out completely in between each application to create a really striking result. In my first layer, I used Opera Pink, which is a gorgeous fluorescent color. It's fugitive, meaning it might fade a little bit over the years, but I will be following up in layer 2 with very light, fast, non-fugitive magenta, so don't worry, everything is going to remain vibrant. And the only thing I'm doing different in the second layer is that I'm leaving some of the sections blank, not applying any color there. In the third layer, I will once again use magenta, this time covering even less surface, leaving the highlights without any color. Notice that I'm mostly focusing on the bottom left side to make those sections darker because the source of light is coming from the top right. The key here is to use very diluted paint, somewhere around level 3 on the value scale, so a lot of water and very little pigment in your mixture to give yourself enough room to build more saturation with every glaze. Remember that watercolors are transparent, so even when you apply a light layer on top of another light layer, you're essentially doubling the intensity of your color. It's kind of like working with overlapping pieces of colored glass. And after everything is dry, we can once again add another layer, this time focusing only on the darkest sections. And you can bring in something more blue-leaning and intense. I'm using Dioxazine Purple just to accentuate those shadows even more. If you want to get a black and white outline of this heart and see the entire process in real time, this tutorial is on my Patreon channel. Let's move on to the next heart, this one with a beautiful ribbon in the center. I'm going to show you my favorite watercolor technique called negative painting. It's going to help us create this beautiful white ribbon in a really simple way. I'm using quinacridone coral, a warmer orange leaning red, and I'm going to paint around my pencil marks, not touching the white ribbon at all. And by doing so, the ribbon will slowly be revealed. This is the essence of negative painting, meaning painting around a light shape. And it's one of the most important techniques to learn for watercolor painting because traditional watercolors don't use white paint. Instead, we're using the white of our paper for our most bright parts. And you can follow up with some very light blue and add more definition to the ribbon. I'm using a very small size 0 brush from Escoda and cobalt teal from Core Watercolors, applying a little bit of color first and then blending with clear water. You can follow up with another layer of red to boost the vibrancy, and for a more realistic look and even more definition in your shadows, you can add some blue or violet around the ribbon. It's going to stand out even better against the red of the heart. Now let's try something more fancy and introduce masking fluid. It's a special watercolor medium that you can apply to those parts of your painting that you want to remain bright white. It's super useful for intricate details, and I'm using my rubber applicator because masking fluid dries out and becomes hard, so it's best not to use your nice brushes here. I will leave a link to this applicator in the video description below, along with the rest of my watercolor supplies. Once masking fluid is dry, you can cover everything with your color, knowing that those details will remain white. They will be preserved. And I'm using Scarlet Lake, a warm orangey red, followed by Windsor Red Deep in the center. This is one of my favorite reds for painting Christmas ornaments and things like poinsettia flowers. I will wait for everything to dry and then apply another coat of color just to make sure everything looks extra vibrant. And you may notice that your watercolors often look dull after the water evaporates, and this is totally normal, something called a drying shift. My favorite tip is, especially if you want more vibrant reds, is simply apply 2 layers. Then we can erase masking fluid using a soft thin eraser and maybe add another glaze on top. Notice how we were able to create very thin, intricate lines with the help of masking fluid, which is why it's super helpful and fun to use. And I'm going to show you another method of creating intricate details in just a minute. But first I wanted to show you a very interesting, quick version of a heart using a very rare pigment made from jewelry quality stones. And it's part of the Primatek range from Daniel Smith. I'm going to use blooming technique to create some special effects with it. If you're into botanical art, I think you will love this. The pigment is called Rhodonite Genuine. It's a lovely rose color, and like all Primatek watercolors, it's made from grinding up semi-precious stones. Now, Daniel Smith says it's not granulating, and when it's diluted with water, I agree. I don't see any texture. It looks very clear and smooth, but I swear I feel like I'm seeing some granulation when I start applying more concentrated version of this color. So I'm going to test my theory by applying blooming method, meaning I will be dropping some clear water on this wet layer of paint, and what you would expect to see typically with granulating colors is very strong separation of paint particles. And I do feel like I'm seeing a bit of this effect here. Maybe it's just my paper, but please let me know what you think in the comments below. I feel like this would be perfect for painting flowers. Daniel Smith says it's also very good for portraits and landscapes. And if you had any experience with this pigment, do share your thoughts with us in the comments below, because as soon as this heart was finished, I immediately used it to paint a red rose using the same blooming technique with clear drops of water, and I think it works amazing. I will post this tutorial next week, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see the full process. Now let's move on to one of my favorite techniques that is very often overlooked in watercolor tutorials, but it's so important and incredibly useful for botanical artists especially. It's called wet on damp, which is a variation of wet on wet technique with a slight delay in timing. Here I'm going to use it to add some decorative accents on the heart, just to show you how it works in real time. So we start by painting very diluted layer of color. I'm going to use quinacridone red again, and then follow with some yellow just to add some color variation. Before your paper is completely dry, you want it damp, not dripping with water. You want to grab a small pointed brush. Mine is in size 00 from Escoda, and start applying very concentrated pigment around the edges. You can also add some details inside the heart, the way I'm doing here. Notice that my strokes stay where I place them, but they have some slight fading around. This occurs because the paint wants to spread, but it can't go too far. Our paper is actually dry, and you may want to play around with timing depending on the paper brand you're using. With my arches cold pressed, it typically takes me about 2 minutes after the initial wet wash, and then I have about a minute or two before it's too dry to paint and the lines start coming out looking too crisp. This is an excellent technique for creating soft organic lines, for example, veins on flower petals and leaves, and we covered it many times on this channel if you recall the blue orchid tutorial or the one with stargazer lilies. So give it a try, I highly recommend it. Now I have something truly special to show you, and if you love decorative art, like making handmade cards, you will love it. I'm talking about shimmering or metallic watercolors, and I'm going to use interference red from Core to demonstrate this effect. In order for it to work, I will first need to cover the entire heart shape with a layer of magenta. And while I'm doing that, I will quickly tell you about different varieties of these special metallic pigments that you might find in different brands. So first, the so-called iridescent watercolors contain microscopic reflective particles that give you that shiny, kind of like a pearly effect. On the other hand, interference watercolors contain light reflecting mica particles. They shift colors depending on the angle of light. These pigments appear almost invisible on white paper, and on my palette it looks milky white, but they show up as vibrant shifting colors on dark surface. So this is why I first covered everything with magenta. I let it dry out, and now I'm following up with a layer of interference red. The key difference is iridescent paints will enhance your base color with some shimmer, but interference paints change color based on the light angle, and they show up best on dark backgrounds. I'm going to add another layer of phthalo blue around just to add some contrast. And you can see that at first, this extra layer of shimmering color doesn't look like much, but when I turn the paper over, you can see how beautiful my magenta looks. It's almost like having a little bit of sparkle in that deep red. If you want to learn more about the properties of different types of watercolor paint and the different effects you might be able to achieve, I highly recommend my new book. It's called 101 Watercolor Secrets, and it was just released last month. I will leave a link to Amazon bookstore below. I can't believe the book is already #1 bestseller in art encyclopedias, so a huge thank you to everyone who bought it and left a review. I truly appreciate your support, and I hope you enjoy this resource for years to come. In the next heart, I wanted to show you a different variation of negative painting technique, but also introduce some white gouache for decorative accents. I'm going to start with very diluted quinacridone red, cover the entire shape, and let it dry completely. I will then follow with my magenta, but this time I will leave the central heart completely dry, painting around the boundaries of the shape. Let's let it dry out again and then follow with more saturated color. You can try a different pigment like Bordeaux. It's deeper and has some violet undertones. Once again, I will leave the inner shapes dry, this time focusing just on the outside part of the heart. Notice how the borders between each color layer are completely smooth. We have this wonderful step-by-step gradient because we painted over them each time, overlapping layers of color instead of painting each segment separately. If you're struggling with crisp edges, try building your layers this way using negative painting technique from light to dark, and you will be amazed with your results. I will finish this heart by applying some white gouache dots all around, and this is just another way to create small white details if you don't have masking fluid or simply want to save some time. In the next heart, I'm going to combine several techniques in one design to try something whimsical and a little mysterious. So let's start with masking fluid. I will apply some dots around the heart and let them dry out. Now let's follow with a layer of color. I decided to go for cobalt teal again, just around the heart, covering the masking fluid completely. We will erase it later. Then we can paint the flames up on top, and here I used some yellow ochre. Without letting it dry out completely, let's use wet on damp technique to add some red on the tips of each flame and also at the base. Because our paper is damp and not completely wet, this red color, and I'm using Disazo Scarlet from Core, won't spread too far, giving us a very subtle transition. Now let's paint inside the heart, and here I decided to show you Perlin Red. It's an excellent red pigment from Daniel Smith, kind of like tomato red, very vibrant, perfect for poppy flowers and of course tomatoes. And I much prefer this version of red to cadmium reds that tend to fade a lot. Perlin Red remains a lot more vibrant in my experience. Now let's erase the masking fluid to reveal the white dots, and then we can follow with a darker color to add some details. This one is called Perlin Violet, also from the Perlin family of pigments, another one of my favorites. I use it for shadows all the time, and it's also great for dark skin tones. You can try mixing it with indigo to achieve a really beautiful range of dark skin tone variations for your portraits. And in the final step, I will apply some white gouache to create eyelashes. And at this point, this decorative heart is finished. The last heart I wanted to show you is really special. My Patreon supporters wanted to see some flowers incorporated into the design, so I picked a blue rose. Here we will use something very similar to the gemstone heart, slow glazing 3 layers of color, but with a bit of a twist. In the first layer, you want to cover everything with some very diluted color. I used the combination of phthalo blue and dioxazine purple. And you can even lift some highlights with a clean, damp brush, just like we did in the first red heart. Let everything dry out completely. Then start working on individual petals using wet on dry method. Basically what you want is to apply a little bit of saturated color at the base of the petal where the shadows will be stronger, and then blend towards the edge with a clean damp brush. Repeat this process over and over again until you cover each petal and let it dry again. Observe how your shadows look after your water evaporates. And you can apply more color using the same technique, this time accentuating only the darkest shadows. And maybe even outlining the heart to make the overall silhouette a little bit sharper. It's amazing how much variety and expression you can achieve with just your brush, a few pigments, and a combination of some classic watercolor techniques. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced artist, I hope this tutorial inspired you to explore new watercolor techniques so you can experiment and create something uniquely yours. Don't forget to subscribe and share the video with your artist friends. It's perfect for your Valentine's cards and also for general watercolor practice. If you enjoy this practice format, I highly recommend checking out my leaves tutorial and my Christmas ornaments tutorial, where I apply the same concept of exploring different techniques within the same theme. Thank you for watching and painting with me. I will see you in the next tutorial.